Hello everyone, welcome to the Escape Pod. I'm Josiah.
I'm Nathan.
And today we're doing like a weird, I'm not sir how long this is going to go, to be honest.
I'd say, honestly, just a general overview of first bits, and then really the main body of it is...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we recently, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think we confirmed the Rambo series to prepare for Rambo Last Blood, and we hadn't watched these since... The last time we watched them was together, I believe.
Yes, correct.
Post-high school.
Yeah, very early college.
And I think we had watched them in high school as well. So that was years ago. And we hadn't, really watched them since. And to be honest, Rambo's not really a series, aside from the first one, that I really think about, I have to go back and rewatch all those movies just because of the way that they're structured and the way they are.
Yeah.
Let's talk about real quick, before we go through each individual film, what was your perception, to give them some context, what was your perception of the series from your memory?
From my memory, I remember First Blood being this really surprisingly toned down, not super action movie, but more character drama that was really good, maybe a little slow paced. Then it goes balls to the walls in 2, and then 3 is poorly timed and sends some very bad messages that we probably shouldn't think of anymore. And then Rambo was like surprisingly good, if uber violent. But then rewatching them,
I think that was similar to what I thought.
Yeah. And then, how would you say our view of them changed as we were watching? How do you feel about them now?
Well, I think we were entirely correct about First Blood.
Correct.
That is what I would call a great film.
Yes.
I kind of warmed up to 2 a bit more.
Yes.
I think it fits more as like the end of the story to First Blood, because, well, on the surface, it kind of seems like it could be like, oh, this is just a power fantasy, and now he gets to go back and kill the Vietnamese that held him captive. I do feel like there's something there with him rescuing those POWs and getting that closure.
Yes.
And that monologue he has about, just treat your veterans better completes the cycle from the beginning of First Blood. So I really feel like 1 and 2 are of a piece where they fit quite nicely. And so I like 2 a lot more. Is it a bit more like he kills a bunch more people and it's a bit over the top? Yeah, but I think overall the emotion is still there. Like the bit where he goes back and says, you didn't care if there was anybody there. He talks to Murdoch or whatever his name is. And he's just like, yeah, you didn't care if there was POWs there. That was just all for PR. Like the country's truly given up on them. And you have to be seen as like attempting to do. So I think that stuff's really good. And Troutman's in it again, which is great. 3 was better and worse. Like I'd say definitely like the worst of the 3 so far. Let's not overstate it. Having the movie be dedicated to the gallant people of Afghanistan is
it's audacious.
Well, at the time, they were the rebels.
Yeah.
But then those weapons we gave them, well, I think the cringiest line this time around was when they're like, Rambo, won't you stay and help fight for our cause? And he's like, maybe next time.
Yeah, and you have this kid chasing them around who's like, I want to be part of the action. It's like...
You will in a few years.
Child soldiers.
Yeah, you will be in a decade or so.
Great.
So Rambo 3 was kind of cringe. I think we agreed that like it kind of gets worse like as it goes along. Like the beginning's pretty strong. Like Rambo's living the monastic lifestyle.
Yeah.
And then it's really manipulative. I actually no, fuck Rambo 3. Like Troutman is so manipulative in this movie. Like, it's completely contrary to his character in the first 2 films, I think.
Yeah, no, it's really bad.
So fuck Rambo 3, really. I just changed my mind there immediately. I forgot about the Troutman thing. You do get to see Troutman kick some ass, which is nice.
Yeah.
And then Rambo, which I remember being the second best, and it's the third best. Because I think the big issue with it is Stallone, like, barely emotes.
Yeah.
The movie kind of cares just about the violence.
Yeah.
And, like, the missionaries, I like this whole premise, but they're just so, like, self-righteous and pure good. Or Julie Benz's. She's like, I just want to help people, but you're going to get yourself killed. Yeah, but we have to help people. As soon as they get there, we're captured. Well, of course you are.
I love she has, like, this scene with Sylvester Stallone, and she's like, why aren't you doing everything you can to help these people in their shitty life? And he's like, my life's kind of shitty too. And she's like, yeah, but it's not as bad as theirs. And it's like, fuck yourself.
She's one of those people who would like shame you because you complain about your job when people are starving in Africa. It's like, get fucked.
Yeah.
So the missionaries are pretty cringe. And considering they're like half of the cast of the movie, that's not good.
Yeah. And then it also has that really trippy sequence where Rambo misremembers and they use the alternate ending of Rambo where Troutman shoots him.
Well, I think they were just doing that to show his like mental state. Like just the violence and all that. I do think the violence at the end is entertaining. I like the whole bit with the cannon.
Yeah.
But it is kind of like, well, it's the end of the movie. Let's just kill people. Which, that's not going to come back later.
It's the end of the movie, so.
Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. But we did wait to watch the director's cut.
We did.
Which I hadn't seen, which is John Rambo.
Yeah.
Which, from what I checked, all the changes were good because they cut out bad gore CGI and they also had more character scenes, which is fucked because, like, that I can't imagine how, lame the theatrical cut is because, like, you miss out a lot of character development that's in the director's cut. And the director's cut could use more.
Which, the funny... So, the another funny thing about that is apparently the original cut of First Blood was like 3 hours, and it had way more scenes with Rambo, and Stallone was like, this is so abominable, I want to buy the rights to this so it doesn't get made, and they were like, we'll just trim it down.
Well, things are saved in the editing bay. It was supposed to be a drama, and they made it kind of a more tight thriller, but they kept all the good stuff.
Yeah.
They didn't keep the plotting stuff.
Yeah.
Which is true, because again, like, so Rambo 4, I'd say that's still the third best, definitely not second best, and it's kind of just not, what's the right word? It doesn't offend my love of First Blood in any way, unlike the movie we're going to get to today. So I'd say like it's just a better version of what they were trying to do in Last Blood, just a bit less, like the relationships are less defined. But in Last Blood, they're so awful that I'd prefer that they weren't defined. So that's kind of going back. I would rank them before 5, before we get to that. 1, 2, 4. Forget 3, just make 1, 2, and 4 the trilogy.
Yeah.
Kind of ends on a bit of a...
But
I do love the ending of Rambo 4, where he goes back to his dad's ranch.
Yeah.
That's a nice way to close it out, and I do like the whole him walking away and she's like crying as he saved them. So I think I like the whole ending of Rambo 4. I just think that you could have had such a better movie. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of disappointing, because 1 and 2 are good. 1 especially. Fuck 3.
Yeah.
But then we were like, we don't expect Last Blood to be great, but there could be a great film there. Just rip off Logan.
Yeah.
Which is a great film. Yeah. Rip that off, and you're good. And they kind of did, but not where they should have. In like all the ways that matter. And so I think going in, we were like, hey, if this can just be like kind of a Rambo does Logan thing, we'll be fine. And if it can be like as good as 2, because calling it Last Blood, that makes me think it's the last film in the franchise.
Yeah.
Because First Blood,
you would think.
Last Blood. And then we both listened to a recap by, the wonderful Mahler, casually talking about kind of the silliness of Last Blood.
Yeah.
And Mahler is so good at like outlining how a plot progresses and then how you will feel when it does not progress properly.
Yeah, he's very good at recreating an experience, even though
because when he was talking about it, I had the same exact like problems and not just because he said them. Like I remembered when he would say something, I'm like, oh, that does feel really rushed, or oh, that does, So when I listened to that recap, I'm like, yeah, this doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
And then you told me it was 80 minutes, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
This is gonna be paper thin, which it was. And then we both were like, well, we watched the previous 4 films. Let's give it a shot. We'll see how it goes. Maybe the plot's bad, but the performances and dialogue will be good, maybe. No, that's not what happened.
No.
And we watched Last Blood.
And I honestly could have barely sat through it all.
Yeah, it was really bad.
Like, there was definitely several points where I was like, we could just leave, but then I was like, we have to see this through to the end.
And also, as if to like herald bad luck, I've never done this before, but I spilt my drink getting to my seat, and I was immediately like, oh, that's not a good sign.
Yeah, and we had been you'd been having kind of a rough day in general, and then the very first thing is you put my drink down in the cup holder, and it like missed somehow.
No, it was mine.
Oh yeah, it was yours.
I put yours down and then I put mine in, but it missed and then it like toppled over. I salvaged most of it. It wasn't like a huge spread.
Yeah.
Like, because there was people on either side of us.
Which fucking sucks.
It sucked because like we were like, there were so many points where we were like wanting to laugh. But there was a point where I just started chuckling because I was just like, this is so fucking stupid.
Oh yeah.
Last Blood.
Was a disgrace.
What would you say are like the biggest problems with this film? What's the plot of Last Blood? How do they close out Rambo's character arc in a very satisfying way where he totally does not give in to revenge again?
So as fate would have it, immediately after his experience in Burma, he goes back to his dad's ranch, which we did see. So good continuity there.
Although when we were first watching it, I didn't even realize that he wasn't on somebody else's ranch.
Well, yes, but so apparently he moves to his dad's ranch. And then immediately finds this Mexican family that has a kid.
We don't know how that event happened.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to...
Okay.
You got to bridge the gap, how we got.
All right.
So he found this Mexican family that had a kid that he was immediately like, you are all that is good in the world. And so he kind of like brings them into his life, I guess. And they're just living on his ranch. And the kid's dad was a dick.
And presumably Rambo's dad died.
And presumably, yeah. The girl doesn't have her mom anymore, and her dad,
because her mom died of cancer, and then her dad fucked off.
Yeah, and so they're basically living in his house, and he lives in tunnels that he has just dug under the property.
So here's the thing. First of all, look, Chekhov's gun. This movie is pretty bad at it because it misses like a lot of things to set up.
Yes,
but it really wants you to pay attention. Why did you build tunnels? You should take your friends out of tunnels. I live in the tunnels. And it's like, so did Rambo's dad start this? Was he like a miner or something? Like, why does this exist?
The explanation we get is
Rambo did it.
You like to dig and you're kind of crazy. And he doesn't like like we never find out why. He just did.
And so we mapped this out. So we were thinking about like how the tunnels were constructed. So 2008 was when Rambo 4 came out. So if we presume that all the films just take place in the year they take place in,
yes,
which is reasonable.
Yes.
11 years later. So at the end of the movie, we presume like within maybe the end of the year, he gets back from Burma to Arizona. And then how old? So, okay, it's so fucked. But like somehow, I guess maybe a year later, he meets the Mexican family, or maybe he started doing the tunnels before them, but that's 11 years to do it, which I guess like you could do, but that would, if it's just you doing it with no equipment that we can see, that would take like all 10 years.
Yeah.
And
I mean, we see him working on them, so I guess, that fits, doesn't it?
But we start with this really bad bit of them like going, oh, the tunnels. And all the dialogue is just about the tunnels. No, well, it opens with Rambo, like, working with a horse. And apparently Stallone's a big horse, not like William Shatner.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, it'd be great as if the horse actually factored into the end of the movie. But it doesn't. He sends it off.
No, it does.
No, but shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. But he doesn't, like, ride on it like Last Crusade style and...
Nobody does.
No.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
But so I think one of the there's the opening with the tunnels that's like, oh, this is a bad indication.
Well, and the dialogue.
Well, here's the first bit of dialogue that just hits you like a wave is when Rambo and the Mexican girl are riding side by side, and like her first line is like, I can't believe I'm going to college in just a couple weeks, and you've been so important in my life, and I'm gonna miss you. And it's like
this is almost direct quote. This is not like him abridging it. This is direct quote.
Yeah, that was like 10% hyperbolic, but that was pretty close to a actual direct quotation.
And Rambo's like, it's a scary world out there, and you're sure you're right. I want you here.
Yeah.
and it's really bad. And then he ends up saying like, you should invite your friends to this house for your going away party. And she's like, no, but the plan's already set. He's like, you can bring into the tunnels.
And for some reason, that's what cinches it for her.
She's like, I've never been in the tunnels. And I'm like, really?
You don't let anyone in the tunnels.
And what's bizarre to me is, so because of the plot, this girl has enough rebellion in her to like risk endangerment over the border to see her dad. But you're telling me, like, as a child, she never, like, snuck down into the tunnels and checked them out? Like, she just respectfully obeyed his privacy?
Well, no, because remember, she drew in the tunnels. So she is presumably allowed. Oh, but no one else is.
Yeah, because the aunt was never allowed to go in the tunnels.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really stupid. But yeah, she's like, you can bring your friends to the tunnels. And she's like, oh, that's great. And he's like, yeah, bring him to the tunnels. I'll bring him to the tunnels. That sounds so cool. Yeah, the tunnels. Like, that's actual dialogue. And then
I remember how he made her Damascus Steel
letter opener, which she never uses. He uses in the final fight, but it's like, but that was made for her. This is so poorly set up.
It's also, isn't that not the knife he used for the final kill?
No,
it should have been.
It should have been what he used for the final kill, but he did use it to like throw at some guy.
Yeah,
which is lame.
That is. Yeah,
there's a
lot of that.
It's almost like nothing gets brought back properly, and also what's bad is so she brings her friends down to the tunnels.
We have the shortest party sequence I've ever seen.
Yeah, like her boyfriend presumably wants to like kiss her, and it's just kind of like, wait, but she mentioned earlier that her friends didn't want to come around because they don't like how Rambo stared at them. Presumably the boyfriend, because he's protective dad.
Yeah.
And it's like, but now that you're telling me I can go to your dark tunnels, that sounds good. Wait, but this is even creepier. So
yeah. But they also set up.
Also, the party and the kids and the boyfriend never comes back.
But, it does come back from the party. The music, I could get used to it.
Then she gets a call from her friend who's living in Mexico who used to live there. And she's like, oh, I found your papi. And she's like, I have to go see my dad. No. Did she have a scene with Rambo before or after that call? Where she, like, told him... No, it was after.
It was after.
Because so presumably she's been doing this.
Yeah.
And then Rambo's like, you don't want to go after him. He's a dick. He's got a black heart. And the movie also does this thing where there's scenes where nothing's happening. So, like, we're just going to replay dialogue from 30 minutes ago with no real meaning. Just... And mention Black Heart and how the world's dangerous.
And this conversation that they have, and like a few others, the editing is this really dull reverse shot with like a super close up on both of their faces, and it's actually really distracting.
Yeah, and Rambo basically tells her like, that's stupid. Your dad left you for a reason. He's a bad person. He, like there's bad people out there. She's like, no, but sometimes people change. It's like, but you don't know he's changed, do you? Maybe if you knew that, then that might be one thing.
And so he's like, hey, listen, just grow up a little bit, go out in the world first, and then we'll try this. And she's like, oh, okay. Next scene. Oh, but I really want to go see my dad.
Not only that, but this movie would be over if Rambo was like, well, your dad's a bad guy, but I understand that you really need to like confront this part of yourself. But since he's Rambo, I guess that's foreign to him.
Yeah.
But he could have just gone down with her to Mexico and the movie doesn't happen.
Yes.
He literally could have gone down, the movie's over in 10 minutes.
Yes.
Which is frustrating as fuck, because you would think he would go, maybe I should just take care of this and not have these feelings linger where she'll head off eventually if she gets upset.
Exactly.
But he's a fucking idiot, and the screenwriters are fucking idiots, so...
But to be fair, at least he's emoting. I will say his performance is better in this
than it was in 4.
In 4. It's just a shame that most of his dialogue is not good.
Yeah, but his dialogue is the best out of all the characters in the film.
Yes.
Which isn't saying much. But then in the next scene where she's immediately like, no, you told me and I agreed with you, but now I really want to go see him. And then her aunt is like, he literally was beating your mom with a belt on Christmas Day and Rambo had to pull him off her. He's not a good person. He's a really shitty person. You would, in no reality would you want to see this guy. And Rambo's like, hey, listen, you're throwing a lot at her. I think it's...
And it's one of the... And there is... It's dumb dialogue, but it's one of the dumb dialogue that I like, when she, like, literally points at Rambo and goes, he's more your father. And it's like, that's really direct, and I don't think that's how they'd go about it, but I like that.
All the dialogue in this film is just telling the audience how you're supposed to think and feel.
Yeah.
It's really not subtle. Like, that's one thing I'll give 4, is, like, at the very least... Well, no, the missionaries were pretty direct, too.
Yes.
But, It's still worse.
But they
so way worse.
But so they once again talk her down from seeing her dad.
Yes.
She's like, okay, I won't do it. Then she drives off. I forget where she's
going to her friend's house, who was going to host the party originally.
Okay.
Who I don't think we ever see.
Probably just some background shots establishing the party.
And that's bad.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, and then she's driving, and then she pauses, pulls out the side of the road, goes, no, I'm just going to go to Mexico. Because it's really easy to cross the border.
Yeah, we literally see her driving up to the border and then just
they just cut because they don't want to explain like how she got through.
Yeah,
like what her explanation was. I'm here to see my dad.
Yeah, it's
okay,
it's really bad. She drives around a bit, runs into her friend, and their first scene together is so fucking awkward.
It's bad.
Where she's just kind of like sitting around at her house. And she kind of looks around. Her friend's like, "I can feel you looking," and she's like, "Oh no,
looking at me?
No, it's really nice. I can feel you looking at me." And it's like, "No, you look great. Thanks for your help. You know,
I'd like to give you some money. I'm not the fucking charity case." And you're like, okay, you're turning down free money. I was just kind of trying to pay you for the favor.
And then she's like, "Oh no, I didn't want to offend you, friends." It's like, "I'm just joking."
It's like this thing where they were trying to give you like, "Oh, do you get it? Warning signals. She's not to be trusted." But they did it where like her dialogue makes her seem like she's severely autistic and just has mood swings that like don't make sense.
But there's also they try to do this setup shot, but it's really fucking poorly edited.
Yeah,
where she's like, "Hey, I'm just gonna have a drink and then we'll go see your dad." And there's like this close-up shot of her with the beer bottle, and her eyes look down, and you get like a 1 second shot of her bracelet
because they don't set up the bracelet in the opening.
Yeah,
and they have to set it up now. Yeah, it was bad.
And then it cuts to them going to meet her dad. And
this is the funniest scene in the whole film. I think this is where I actually started laughing, and I was like, I don't care if anybody's around me.
So she goes up to her dad's apartment, knocks on the door. This older chick, presumably the person he's dating now,
but then we find out he has another kid.
Yeah,
who he maybe cares about. I don't know.
It's very ambiguous.
It's very ambiguous and stupid.
But so she's like all suspicious and being bitchy, and their dad comes out and he's like, "Hey, listen, I'll talk about this later." And he seems completely normal.
Yeah, he seems like a normal guy who's like, "Listen, I moved on. And this is awkward for both of us." And
so he tries to do this like polite small talk where he's just like, "Oh, you've grown up. It's been a long time." And it's like, okay, like the
real world.
Yeah, this actually feels like, estranged father-daughter meeting for, after a really long time. And then she's like, "Listen, I just need to know why you left us." And then this immediate like tonal change of his character. He's just like, "I don't give a shit about you or your mom.
And when she died of cancer, I didn't give a fuck about you." I was just like, wait, where did this come from?
Then she fucking died and left me with you? Who I never wanted. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah, it was so on the nose that it was like a comedy.
Yeah.
It was literally like, get it? He was a bad father joke.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if they did this with Peter Griffin, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, it was really fucking funny because it just was so, like, normally he would go like, "Hey, like, it's nice to see you after a long time." She's like, "Hey, like, can I ask why you left us?" He's like, "Listen, it was a long time ago. I just didn't care. Can you please fuck off?" And then that would be it. Yeah. Like, at the worst, he'd say like, "Hey, fuck off, please. Yeah. Like, I have a life. Like, I don't care about
like
you."
If you
But the fact that he took like such relish in going like, "No, I didn't give a fuck about you." Like, what? Yeah. Why is he doing this? And what is the point of him if she's just going to get sent into the sex trafficking? Like, because I thought the plot was going to be her friend was lying and it wasn't her dad. And then because she wouldn't know what he looked like.
Yeah.
So I thought that, like, this plot should have been, oh, her father, Rambo, is good. And her other father, well, he's the drug dealer. He's the cartel guy who's going to be the bad guy, right? No, he just disappears and Rambo shows up to say, "I should have broken your neck," but he kills everyone else but him, even though he blames him. It's really fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she's all crestfallen, and her friend's like, "Let me make you feel better. You need to feel better." And later on, she's like, "Yeah, she was depressed, and it made me feel depressed." And I'm like, what the fuck? And she's like, "We're going to go to the bar and have some drinks." And it's like, she agrees and doesn't. She's like, "You're tired. You can't drive back." I'm like, "No, you can."
Yeah.
Why not?
She'll drive better than if she's had a few drinks.
Because does she have a cell phone? Why doesn't she call Rambo?
I really don't know.
It makes no sense. And we know that they can get a signal because her friend calls their place later and she knows the number.
Yes.
So it makes no sense. Unless she's afraid she's going to get in trouble. But, girl, they already know you left.
Yeah.
Like, do you really think they're gonna not notice?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's also really funny because it's sometime during this sequence when we get a shot of Rambo like on the ranch, kind of like looking around concerned. And in my mind, I was kind of just like, she was supposed to be back like 7 hours ago. I hope everything's okay. It's just like she made it all the way to Mexico before you figured out something was up.
It's really easy to cross the border.
Apparently
I need to take a shot every time they cross the border in this film, because I think it's at least, if you count every time someone crosses the border, it's probably like 6 times. Because she goes down, Rambo goes down,
comes back with her.
Rambo comes back with her.
Though to be fair, we actually see his border crossing, and he goes through this unsecured checkpoint and just drives over a fence.
That's like, oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Okay.
And never mind, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she crosses, he crosses back, then he crosses again.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because he goes back.
Right.
And then he crosses again.
And
then the criminals, the cartel crosses. So yeah, that's like 6 times.
Yeah, it's insane.
And thank God we don't have to show it. We might actually have to have world building in like a realistic setting. But she goes to the bar and then her drink just gets spiked.
Yeah.
Then she gets brought into the sex trade and they give her heroin or no, they don't give her heroin yet.
Not right away.
No, she's kind of just like thrown off by how disturbing everything is.
And it's also like, I feel like I needed more of a reaction shot from her friend when she gets taken at the bar.
Yeah.
Because it literally just cuts to her drink getting spiked too. And she's been captured.
It's because they wanted to make it ambiguous if she was involved or not. But she's such a fucking weirdo and like evil.
Yeah.
That it's like, well, I know she did. It's obvious.
Yeah. But then her aunt gets the call from her friend that she's gone. And so the aunt tells Rambo, hey, go get her. So he goes down. And I think, he goes to the dad first. And then he goes to the friend.
No. He goes to the friend and she tells him where the dad is.
Oh, okay.
Because he doesn't know where the dad is.
Really?
Oh, no. Wait, no, what the fuck? Wait. Because
he's suspicious as shit about her as soon as he sees her. So I think he goes to the dad first.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
How does he find him?
I guess they know. I guess.
Okay, that might make sense if he pays child support or something.
Because the friend call, they have this.
Lives in Mexico.
They have this moment where he kind of does the Columbo thing where he analyzes her argument and then, but they don't play it up enough. Because when she called, she told the aunt that they went to see her dad and then she didn't see her. Yes. And then when Rambo comes down, she has a new story saying that they went to the bar after and then she lost her.
Because she's panicked or something.
Yeah. So that in that call, Rambo's like, okay, she went to see her dad, so I'll go straight to the dad. Okay. And he'll know. Yeah. And then it's like, wait, what?
Because he blames him for it. But
yeah.
Now, when does he stop taking the medication? Is it after the dad? Because I know, well, see, here's the thing, is someone brought up, like, what if that's antipsychotic medication? And, like, that's why he starts killing people after he stops taking it?
I want to say it's like shortly... It's shortly before he takes the guy from the bar, I think.
Yeah. But he goes to the dad, and again, I love how he blames him for everything. He says, I should have broken your neck 10 years ago. Does nothing to him.
Yeah.
Just leaves. I mean, I know time's a factor, but he doesn't even go back and kill him.
Yeah. It's very interesting. For all that, he kills a shit ton of people, and at the same time, it's like, why didn't you kill all these people too? It's like...
Because it's a very fucking jumbled mess of a film. That's why.
But then he goes to the friend, and he, like, bullies her into going into her house so that they can sit at the table and talk.
Yeah. And she was such a weirdo in her opening scene that I kind of, like, was enjoying this in terms of, like, yeah, you're fucking creep.
It's also...
Like, watching Rambo not, like, have to put up with this weird bipolar shit was really good.
It's really funny, because the way she's sitting at the table is clearly, like... Oh, we have to wait to show that she's wearing her bracelet. Because she has one arm on the table and one arm is like slunked under.
Yeah,
and it's
that was bad.
Hey, get ready for the twist. Oh, you took her bracelet. No, she gave it to me. And it's like, it was her mother's.
It's her mother. She never gave that to you.
And then, what does he say? He's like, he says something about how he's gonna fucking kill her.
He said something about like, he would gut her if like
oh yeah, because he takes out his massive fucking knife and slams it on the table.
Yeah, he
to
says
get her
like,
to shut the fuck up.
Which thank God.
Yeah,
because she was really bad.
She was not good.
And then he goes to the bar, or she leads him there, and he says, "Point him out, and if you're wrong, I'm gonna kill you."
Yeah,
which is fair. And then she points him out, and then like this random person in the crowd notices Rambo watching him.
And I don't know if it was just me, but it took me a while to process what their gender was. Yeah. I was like, this could be a very weaselly boy, but no, it's chick.
A weaselly boy.
Okay.
Yeah, no, but it was just weird because it just cuts to them, and then it's just like, oh, they're watching Rambo, what's going on? And then you find out they're a journalist.
So when I first saw it, I was like, oh, is this like security for the guy? Because Rambo is like really obviously just staring straight at him.
I thought it was like someone from a Mexican agency or like FBI
An investigator.
Or
yeah, I kind of went back and forth on that. It's like, do they work for this person? Are they actually investigating? And it's like, I'm a reporter.
I'm a reporter. And then he grabs the guy, he stabs him in the leg, pulls out his clavicle bone, and then he says he's gonna snap it off. And then the guy, who should be like in shock and unconscious, leads him to the cartel hangout, which is separate from the actual brothel.
Yeah.
And then Rambo, fucking idiot, has his license on him. He doesn't just keep it in his car. And he's undercover, like, attacking and brutalizing people. And he's like, I'll keep my ID on me. Sounds like a great idea. And then his plan is, I'm gonna go up, talk to the cartel guys, but half the time I'm not going to answer their very direct questions, which will just make them angry, and then get the shit beaten out of me, and that's going to save my daughter.
Yeah.
And like a normal person, like there was bits where I was like, in normal conversation, you may like say, hey, listen, I'll pay you some money. Like, can I get her back? Like you would reason with them. But Rambo just kind of goes, and then he answers like every third question. It's like you realize they're just going to beat the shit out of you because they see you as hostile.
Not to mention, like, the build-up to that was so bizarre because we get like 20 shots of him walking down hallways and stairs while more and more people are like, what the fuck? And like start following him. So he just has this giant crowd
like
behind
40 people, and he kind of like notices. He's like, oh shit.
And then it's so fucking hilarious. They beat the shit out of him and then leave. And then the journalist is immediately there. And it's like, so really, if you like send one person in to distract literally everyone, you could send in another person. They don't get noticed, I guess.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
And not only that, but so he goes to the cartel guys. One of them looks like Kit Harington.
Yeah.
And yeah, he kind of just has the photograph, and he doesn't say what he wants. They're like, "What do you want?" They have the photograph. Oh, what is she to you? He could have said like, she's my daughter, you know, I care about her. I would really like her back. But he just doesn't say anything, and they're like, what am I supposed... Like, I felt for the cartel guys, because it was like they were talking to a wall. They're like, we want to, like, figure out what's going on, man. We don't want to, like, kill you, but, like, we will. I mean, if you want us to. Yeah. And then it just ends with them, like, beating the shit out of Rambo, and then Rambo has his fucking driver's license on him, and they like, oh, we know who you are. And then they're like, John Rambo, and then they have the picture, and then they go like, you know, we would have just trained her, like, you know, brought her up in the sex trade and then sold her. Should have had a pretty comfortable life, but because you came here and didn't talk to us and did nothing to us that we were aware of, we're just gonna like rape her and like give her so much heroin and just like really mess her up. And I wouldn't have cared, but now I'm gonna care when I do it. And then he's like, I want you to live with that. And the brother's like, no, we should kill him right now. And he's like, no, just like do that stuff to his daughter and then just cut his face.
Leave your mark on his face. His and the girls. And it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it was. And they literally had the most heavy-handed thing of, to men like me, they're not people. They're things. And I'm like, yeah, you literally just told me, like, your character.
I get that.
That's really stupid.
Do you get it? Some people have black hearts. They don't change.
And then the whole movie kind of feels like someone outlined a story and they were, like, explaining it to a friend. Like, oh, and this is the scene where the cartel guy explains that they're not people to him, they're things. Yeah. And when you say it like that, it's like, oh, I can't wait for you to actually write that scene. But no, that's the direct dialogue.
Yeah.
So...
And then there's this really weird montage of, oh, Rambo's getting helped by this journalist and, like, you know, he's fucked, but he's slowly recovering. Meanwhile, the chick is getting more and more fucked and just
on heroin. Yeah.
gacked, and she's been cut now, and then the aunt is just sitting around at home looking concerned.
That was so funny. I'm like, what is that? What is that implying? Just like, remember her because she's gonna leave the movie eventually, so she matters.
Yeah.
And then Rambo gets helped by the reporter lady, and she calls a doctor to help. This is what's great. She calls a doctor to help him at her house, and Rambo wakes up. He's like, where am I? And so he knows he's gotten medical attention at this house, so he knows it's possible, which is going to be hilarious later on. Yeah, then he's kind of like, you have to tell me where the brothel is. I'm going to go save them and kill those guys. And she's like, no, that won't solve anything. I have to expose them and bring them justice. He's like, that won't change anything. And she's like, but killing them will? It'll make me feel better.
Yeah.
I want revenge.
The journalist is like, they took my sister, and that's why I hate them.
I'm sorry. And he's like, deep in your heart of hearts, you really want them dead. And he goes in with a hammer, a la old boy.
Yeah.
And he claws a guy in the balls. And then this comedic scene where he goes in the first room, kills the guy. We don't know who he is. He might just be a guy who thought this was a legit brothel. Maybe he just wanted some tail.
Yeah.
And he didn't know it was sex trafficking. It's not his fault.
Yeah.
They wouldn't tell him that. But he just goes and kills all these Johns. And he kills the first guy. Get out of here. No, I can't. They'll kill me if I leave. Goes in the immediate next room, kills the guy. Get out of here. No, I can't. I can't leave. Goes to the third room, kills the guy. Get out of here. And then he finally goes to the room where she's at and takes her out.
That feels like they were playing an improv game with Sylvester Stallone. They were like, hey, your daughter's in one of these rooms, but every room she's not in, you need to kill the guy, try to get the girl out, but she won't let you, and then you'll give up and go to the next room.
And he was bad at improv games.
Yeah. And like literally at least once or twice when like with the girl were like, no, they can't, they'll kill me. He was just like,
she's like, okay.
And he just leaves.
And I love this because, so, in the second movie, Rambo rescues POWs.
Yes.
A lot of them. In the third movie, he helps fight the tyrannical Russians and saves the people of Afghanistan.
Yeah.
In the fourth movie, he protects some missionaries so they don't get slaughtered by the Burmese tyrannical forces. In this movie, he just kills people. He doesn't save the people in the sex ring. He just leaves them there.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't go back and save them, like, to, like, make up for the fact that he couldn't save his daughter and she went through that. He just leaves them.
Yeah.
Why? Rambo, like, doesn't accomplish anything in this movie. He just gives into revenge and kills people. And it's like, this is not good.
Because I assumed, like, when he recovered, I was like, okay, he's gonna kill everyone but the victims in the brothel.
Yes.
But he doesn't. And then later on, like, he does have this montage of killing people who work for them, but it's by no means all of them. He still did not dismantle them.
No. It's very bizarre. It's this weird
strange
thing where it's like, he's selfish.
Yeah.
And the thing about Rambo is, that's what the fourth movie was about. He's like, I don't want to care, but deep down, he has the need to help innocent people because he went through suffering and he fought to protect the innocent people of America.
Yeah.
He fought for his country and he fought to, like, keep his friends who were his brothers in arms alive. He wasn't selfish. Like, the whole reason First Blood is tough is because he's a drifter. He's just trying not to cause trouble, and then they make him cause trouble.
Yeah.
Like, they drive him to it. This movie's just him being a selfish asshole.
Yeah.
And I can't care.
It's bad. But he saves the daughter.
Yeah.
Throws the bracelet back on her arm.
Yeah.
And then he decides, having seen like the fucking needle mark highway on her arm.
It's really bad.
Like, it's actively bleeding out of multiple injection points.
Yeah.
He's like, I know what I have to do. I have to legally cross the border and drive all the way back home. And that's the only way I can save her.
And drive all the way back home and then drive all the way to a hospital in Arizona? I don't understand his logic.
It's
because he's just like, I'm going to take you home. And I'm like, you would take her to a hospital?
It's because he was off his meds.
That movie doesn't play that up.
I'm not thinking clearly.
I mean, if the whole movie's point is that he's just a crazy old man and he's just mentally disabled, then okay.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's offering meaningful commentary about that in any way.
Yeah.
Which this film does feel like kind of... Someone pointed out something interesting. Did you know Rambo films have always been made when there's a Republican in office? They've never come out when a Democrat has been in office. Because Bush was technically president before it got handed off to Obama in 2008.
Yeah.
And then he didn't want to make one in the Clinton era. And then the other ones were Reagan or, whatever. So, and this one's during Trump's thing. And this movie is, out of all of them, is the most, like, aside from 3, which is like, hey, we didn't realize the Taliban were going to hurt us later. This one's the most like, hey, do you get it? Mexico sucks. We should build that wall. But, it doesn't matter if you build that wall because they can just go under it. So,
yeah.
It's a really stupid film.
Yes.
With nothing to say. Like, at least 4 had something to say.
Yes.
3 even had something to say. It's just that,
Well, again, and the interesting thing about this is that this basic concept was the original plot for 4, except it was actually he had a wife and daughter, and not just this, I have taken this Mexican family under my wing.
And I don't get why he couldn't have just married a Latino woman. Like, that could have just been the plot. But then we couldn't have had this meaningful arc with the other father, and it's like, that could have just been anybody. It didn't have to. Like, this plot just doesn't need to exist. It's so contrived. And so he brings her, starts driving back, and she ODs. And out of context, I like this scene.
This scene is very good when you don't think about how stupid everyone involved is being.
Yeah, like Stallone's actually emoting, and she dies. And then he drives all the way back to the house, buries her, shows the aunt knows now. And then he goes all the way back down, kills some guys, kills one of the brothers off screen, after they have a conversation of, you need to handle this. The one who needs to handle it dies. He does nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. So he cuts his head off, and then for some reason he drops the head on a random highway, and I'm like, what? No one's gonna see that.
Yeah.
That'll get eaten by the time they get there.
Or wait, no, it was the guy who said, you need to handle this, is the one who dies first.
No, it's the brother. It's totally the brother who fucked up, who dies. I swear to God. I swear to God.
Well, no. So because we have the first scene. So I forget their names. So let's just say brother A and brother.
It's
B.
Victor who does the mark, and then I forget the other guy's name.
Is it Victor and Vito?
No, Vito is short for Victor.
Okay, yeah. So it's Victor and the other one. And Victor's the one who dies first, I believe.
No.
I think he is.
Yes, he is.
So Victor, in his first encounter with Rambo, puts his mark on him, and then he's like, and then the other one is like, oh, don't kill him. He should be whatever. Yeah. And he's like, that's stupid. But he doesn't. And then once Rambo goes on the killing spree, it's Victor who's going, what the fuck? I told you we should have killed him. You need to handle it.
Right.
And then Rambo kills Victor off screen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And it's the most like they couldn't get a scene with that actor or something.
Because they don't shy away from violence at any other point in the movie, and him coming in to see him decapitate, it's like, well, you could have shown him injuring him in other ways, and then the decapitation is off screen.
Yeah, because we see Rambo enter his bedroom. He hears that he's in the shower, and he gets way too excited about it. And then it cuts to his brother showing up after the fact.
With the cops, and the cartel side by side, because the cops don't do anything. Which in Mexico City, that's true, but,
And then there's a headless corpse there. And then it hard cuts to Rambo dropping the head as he's driving on the hallway. And
down the highway, yeah.
And it still doesn't show his face, so it's like, oh, we didn't even make the prop look like him. We don't have time.
It was such a weird, I think that was supposed to be comedic.
I don't know.
Like dark comedy. And then Rambo goes home, having killed one brother, and he doesn't kill the other one because, well, I gotta use these tunnels. We set them up in the first scene. And then it's just out of context, a good montage of him setting the traps up. Yeah. Although I can't help but thinking the whole time, man, I love Skyfall. It was a good movie. And now they're doing it again.
I can't help but thinking, I liked the first movie where he had to make traps because he didn't have resources.
Because he was on the run.
But now look, he sharpened sticks into stabbing weapons.
Because at the end of this fight, he just blows up all the tunnels. That was totally within his power. And I'm like, why didn't you just do that in the first place?
Oh, they don't suffer.
Because then they wouldn't suffer, even though he mercy kills all of them.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't understand his motivation. Like, I get, maybe there's a sixth sense of, oh, they suffered for a bit, and then I had the power, and I ended their lives. But it's still you could have still blown them up.
Well,
I guess he wouldn't have had the blood splatter on him.
and then
But
it comes full circle
yeah.
that he actually did get used to the music and started blaring it on his
Actually,
speakers.
I don't know if it was the same, but I don't feel like going back and checking.
No,
It was the Doors.
I'm gonna say it was the same.
But he starts playing the music. Again, out of context, is the killing in this pretty entertaining? Sure. I don't give a fuck about anything that is happening.
Oh.
It's literally it's those people who make compilations on YouTube of just the kills in slasher films. And it's like, oh, wasn't that a good video? It's like, no, it was just the kills. There was no build up or anything. Or
yeah.
It was literally just the gore. I can watch gore compilations. So, again, it's kind of like the fourth film in terms of gore.
Yeah. Visuals, the effects are a bit better, sure.
The effects are better, I will say. There was that one weird trap where the guy's face gets turned into an E. It slices into two parts of his face. I'm like, what hit him? Yeah. I didn't see what it was.
It was just two blades, I guess.
Yeah.
Roughly equal levels.
Yeah. And he just goes around and is just fucking killing everyone. And then he purposely doesn't kill the main guy until the end.
It's so funny.
That's the one bit of clever writing where it's like, hey, logically, if I was killing you just in any order, it wouldn't be this guy as the last one. But he's like, no, I purposely kept you alive so I can cut your heart out.
I could have killed you 10 times.
Could have killed you 10 times.
And I'm gonna cut you open and rip out your heart so you know how it feels. And it's like, that's gonna pay off in 5 minutes.
Yeah, he doesn't say that when they first beat him up, which would have been when you say it. It's because that was kind of that should have been in Dark Knight Rises when he says, you have my permission to die, and then at the end of the movie,
yeah,
an hour later, he says it to him.
If what I would have done if my hands were tied and they were like, okay, here's our cut of Rambo Last Blood. You have 3 weeks to film insert shots to fix things.
Sure.
What I would have done is when the brother comes across the headless corpse, he gets a call from Rambo, who then says it, and then you see him drop off the head like that.
Yeah, no, that would have been good.
Yeah.
That's a really good. Yeah. That's a really good reshoot you could do there, and that would cost almost nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you get this bit. He's killing everyone.
Yeah.
Machete, claymore, collapsing tunnels,
dropping onto spikes, and spikes dropping down onto you, and
shoves a spike through a guy's head.
Yeah.
Cuts a guy's leg off.
Yeah.
And then
throws lots of knives.
Yeah, it reminded me of, you haven't seen it, but it reminded me of John Wick Chapter 3, because there's a bit where there's a scene that's just throwing knives for 10 minutes.
Oh.
And it reminded me of that. They're both bad movies, but I can't agree with Mahler I can't agree with him where John Wick is worse than this, but it's very bad. John Wick Chapter 3, specifically.
Right.
But we get this thing, and then he says, yeah, I could have killed you 10 times. And then he's like, follow the lights if you want to live.
If you want to live, follow the lights.
And then he starts just blowing up the tunnels. How does he know he won't get hit and get buried under there? There's nothing that indicates that he would be fast enough.
He has the measure of the man. He knows that he's just fast and strong enough to escape the exploding tunnels.
That's interesting. That's also called shitty writing. And so he gets up out of there, and it's in the barn. And Rambo finally uses the bow and arrow because he's Rambo.
And he pins him.
He pins him by his shoulders and his calves.
Yeah.
And then it's well shot. I like him walking up to the guy. He's flexing his shoulders and rolling his neck and stuff. And then he takes his knife out.
And he's been wounded at this point, shot a few times because he fucked up and got seen.
Yeah, he got shot twice. Once when he collapsed the tunnel, he got hit in the side, and then the guy shot him in the shoulder.
Yeah.
So he's bleeding, and he takes the knife out, and he cuts out the guy's heart. And then just shoves his hand in. And he cuts open his chest. He shoves his hand in, pulls out his still beating heart, and that's how it feels. And then he drops it, and I'm like, please make this an exploitation film. Have him step on it. And
I was like, oh, he's gonna crush it in his fist.
No.
Oh, he's gonna step on it. No. Why would you got 85% of a fatality, and you didn't get the style points.
Yeah, he just kills him.
And then he limps over to his chair on the deck of his house and sits down.
Bleeding.
And we get this admittedly really great clip sequence of the previous 4 movies.
Well, no, wait.
Oh, I'm sorry. We get his closing monologue.
Yes, which is not good because... So this is called Last Blood. Now that lets me know this is the last movie.
Yes.
No.
Just
Friday the
person you
13th,
love
Part 4, the final chapter. But his monologue is basically saying, my loved ones, I'll carry their memories with me, I'll continue to fight. As he's bleeding out, and I'm like, wait, but he's dying. Why is his monologue about how he's going to keep fighting? And it's just, I feel like he was supposed to die. And then they threw in, like, that monologue to go, he's not really dead. He's just bleeding, and this admittedly well-shot scene of, like, the sun going down behind his chair.
Yeah.
And he's rocking back and forth, and it's like, wow, that's a... out of context, this is a nice, like, final shot of Rambo.
Yeah.
And then we get that end credits scene where it shows the clips from the 4 movies.
Yeah. And then for some reason, so it gets through, it's towards the end of showing shots from Rambo 3, they have Rambo Last Blood. And then it shows shots from Rambo and this movie.
Yes.
And then towards the end of recapping this movie, it goes, Lionsgate presents. Are you going to have the title again? No, cut to credits.
And he has a horse. Oh, we forgot to mention, before the fight started, he sent both the ant away and the horse. And then in the post-credits, like the mid-credits thing, the horse is just back and he rides away on it. And I'm like, how the fuck does that happen?
I need to do the edit where you get to the end of Rambo, him going to his dad's house, and then he immediately collapses on the chair wounded from the end of
His
Last
hair
Blood.
is a different length. Dies. That would spare me having to watch this movie.
Yeah. Again, I was talking about it afterwards, but this really felt like it was originally supposed to be like a Clint Eastwood movie kind of thing, where it's this old guy coming out of...
Like Unforgiven.
Yeah. It's more of a Western of, this is an old soldier going back into the fray.
Again, Logan.
Yeah.
It's totally Logan.
Yeah, it's Logan. Because it being Rambo feels so... like
arbitrary.
Yes.
Like it could have been any hero.
Yeah.
Like anything.
Yeah.
You could literally take this plot, give it to Sarah Connor, throw in one robot, and it would be the same story.
Yeah.
Which is probably what Dark Fate's gonna be. Not gonna lie. We have to protect this girl.
We can't have a white male savior. What the fuck is wrong with you?
And this movie that is supposed to be the last Rambo with 2 gunshots in him, and he's 70 years old. The horse magically appears, like at the end of Game of Thrones, The Bells. The horse magically appears, and then he just rides away. And what happens? Well, maybe we'll make another one if this makes money. And I'm like, please, God, do not.
Live for nothing, or die for nothing.
So before we talk about our final thoughts, did you know there was 2 versions of this movie that almost got made? So this is originally the 4th film. They did the Burma version.
Yeah.
And then there was a version that was adapting like a different book, kind of a la Die Hard, how that adapted like different novels and newspaper articles. Like how the first Die Hard is adapted from like The Detective, the sequel to The Detective or whatever, which became a Frank Sinatra movie. But anyway, so the point is like they were adapting a book of Rambo and his son hunting a genetically engineered being, like Braxton from Hobbs and Shaw.
Oh, I wish.
And it would basically be Predator, but with Rambo. And I'm like, you should just cross them over at this point. Like, given this movie, I would have preferred Rambo versus Predator. Like, 100%.
Well, would you say,
the
question is, which movie is worse? Last Blood or The Predator?
The Predator.
That's totally fair.
I think The Predator, well, Last Blood is worse dialogue.
Yes.
Both, I think they're about the same. They're about the same level of awful. They both poison my love. They both attack my love of the series and try to poison it, but I won't let them.
That's fair.
They're both shit. And Dark Fate's going to be the same. Terminator Dark Fate's just going to be like those 2 movies and be really shitty. But we almost got that. And then we also almost got David Morrell, the original writer of the book. He and Stallone wrote a script that was apparently really, really good. And they didn't end up making it. And David Morrell recently tweeted how this movie is a mess and I'm ashamed to have my name on it. So, methinks maybe you would probably just stick to that version. Because it sounds like it would have at least been better than this. And David Morrell, if he was working on it, I'm sure it would be much more... Because from my understanding, it's a lot more like based on, I don't know, character development, soul searching. What does it mean to be a veteran?
Yeah.
Which this movie doesn't do.
Because David Morrell wrote First Blood.
Yeah.
And Rambo dies in that version. But he apparently liked First Blood Part 2 and Rambo 3 enough to make novelizations of those movies.
That were kind of like retconned his own ending, but
Yeah.
like were more consistent with that characterization, I think. And then he said he liked Rambo 4. He said that was the closest to his original book.
Yeah, but I don't think he adapted that. into a
No,
book.
no, he didn't.
Maybe he will now to spite Last Blood.
And then Last Blood, he said, was a mess. So that just goes to show you this from the horse's mouth. This is indeed the worst of the series. Because yeah, I think the way I would rank it is 1, 2, and 4. That's a trilogy, and then 3 is bad, and then 5. But 3 is better than 5.
Yeah,
way better.
And again, so I mentioned this before we went to see it, but like in Australia and other places, this movie is 10 minutes longer because it has a 10-minute prologue. Do you know what happens?
Yeah, he saves some guy from a storm.
Yeah,
And never comes back.
yeah. There's like this search and rescue
Yeah.
team in like some forests that's having a heavy downpour, and
It sounds like it wouldn't have added much.
I don't think it would have helped at all.
No.
We probably,
10 minutes is not enough to fix this movie.
oh god, no.
No.
Especially when it's all in the beginning.
I don't care if it's the best 10 minutes ever. It can't fix this movie.
No.
So yeah, again, 1, 2, 4, 3, 5, and 5's is the very fucking worst.
It goes 5, the dirt, the worms inside the dirt, Popo's stool, Kami, then Popo.
Really, really bad. I'm just glad it was so short.
Yeah.
If it had been 2 hours of this, woof.
Yeah.
40 more minutes.
And it was, and to be fair, in addition to being short, it was also paced so frantically that it kind of went by. Because normally a really, really unpleasant experience has a tendency of dragging and feeling like it took forever.
Yeah.
I didn't really get that sense.
Like in chapter 2?
God.
Yeah, Last Blood was more it was so stupid and bad that I wasn't really getting annoyed as much as in chapter 2. I was more just kind of reveling in how stupid it was.
And again, I think it is this weird, if the Rambo series had been as consistent as the Rocky series.
Yeah, no, for sure.
These ones were really good.
Yeah.
Oh, how could you fuck it up at this point? It's yeah, I kind of already don't give a shit, even if this had been good. But
Rambo wasn't so amazing.
No.
That again, I feel like it's 1 and 2. That's what you need.
Yeah.
And then if you want the complete trilogy to end the arc, you throw in 4. Yeah. The director's cut of 4 specifically.
Yeah.
But this is just last gasp of a dying franchise who's desperately trying to be relevant. Yeah, if it had been the Rocky movies, because the Rocky movies bounced back.
Yeah.
They had 5, and they were what if we do Rocky Balboa, which is the second best film in the franchise.
Oh, it's so fucking good.
And then followed up with Creed and Creed 2, which are both really good.
And
so 5 becomes oh, you know what? I can accept 5.
And
so if for some reason you had 2 amazing Rambo films after this, maybe I wouldn't mind 5 as much. But since it's The Last Blood and it wants you to think there's a sequel, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
Well, I can't wait for it to just be Rambo 6, and it's you need to work on your naming conventions for the series. I swear to Christ,
it's completely inconsistent.
Yeah, because it's First Blood, Rambo, First Blood Part 2, Rambo 3, Rambo, Last Blood.
We'll be generous and say the 4th one is John Rambo.
Okay,
we'll be generous.
Even though I wish the director's cut casing said John Rambo and not just in the movie.
Yeah, it's fucking weird, dude.
It's probably a licensing thing, I would guess.
I'm sure.
But so Last Blood's really shitty. This has been a shitty year for films. I don't think there will be a bounce back, but maybe.
But this film wasn't great.
No.
And so
this film was the most disappointing thing.
Since my son. Rambo Last Blood, terrible, terrible film. Kind of it makes me appreciate certain other aspects of the Rambo series more, which is good, but it also exists. So
yeah, if you're like us and you're oh yeah, the Rambo series is okay, don't watch Last Blood. If you're a diehard Rambo fan, don't watch Last Blood.
Yeah, whoever you are, don't watch this film. Just rewatch 1, 2, and 4, I guess.
Because this movie was dirt cheap. It will not take a lot of people for it to make a profit, but see if you can keep it from happening. Don't let this movie be a financial success.
Yeah. All right, everyone, thank you for joining us. This is the Escape Pod. I'm Josiah.
I'm Nathan.
And have a great day.